You don't always look overwhelmed. You just look a little quieter than everyone else. But inside, your mind has already lived through the whole day twice. Once while it happened, and once while you tried to make sense of it. That is why deep feelers burn out faster than they look. Not because they are weak, but because they keep carrying what other people leave behind. Some people get tired from doing too much. You get tired from noticing too much. You notice the pause before someone answers, the shift in their tone, the tension in their jaw, the feeling that something is off. You notice the room before you even sit down. Who feels distant, who feels heavy, who is pretending they are fine. And none of that looks dramatic from the outside. It just looks like you came home tired again for reasons you can't fully explain. Sometimes the exhausting part is not the event. It is everything your mind keeps doing after the event is over. A short conversation can follow you into the night. Not because it was important, but because some part of you is still sorting through it. You replay one sentence, then your expression, then their expression, then the part you wish you had said differently. Meanwhile, everyone else seems to move on, and you are still mentally standing in a room that no longer exists. This is the hidden fatigue of deep feeling. Your body leaves the moment, but your mind keeps processing it long after. That delay matters more than most people realize, because burnout is not always loud when it begins. Sometimes it starts as low-grade mental traffic, a constant stream of emotional data with nowhere clean to go. You answer texts, show up, smile, work, listen, adapt, and all day your inner world keeps collecting unfinished impressions. A coworker's sharp tone stays with you. A crowded store gets stuck in your nervous system longer than it should. Someone says they are fine, but you can feel they are not, and now your body is carrying tension that did not even begin in you. That is one of the strangest parts. Deep feelers often absorb first and identify later. You think you were just tired. Then hours later, you realize you were carrying someone else's mood the whole time. It happens in ordinary moments. A family dinner, a group chat, a quick coffee, a meeting that looked harmless on the calendar. Nothing was technically wrong, but your system still had to read every signal in the room. And reading people is work, even when you do it silently. Especially when you do it silently, because no one sees the effort, so no one understands the cost. That is why deep feelers often confuse themselves. They think, this was a normal day, so why do I feel depleted already? The answer is that your exhaustion is not only physical, it is cognitive, emotional, sensory, and relational all at once. You are not just living your life, you are also interpreting it in real time. You are reading tone, meaning, subtext, pace, energy, facial shifts, possible outcomes. That kind of awareness can look calm while quietly draining everything underneath. And because you often stay composed, people assume you are handling it well. They mistake self-control for spaciousness. But being calm on the outside does not mean you are resting on the inside. Sometimes it means you are managing 10 things at once without showing any of them. This is why many deep feelers crash in private. They hold themselves together in public, then unravel in the quiet. The front door closes. Your shoulders drop, your face softens, and suddenly the whole day lands at once. And now you can feel the noise you are suppressing. The emotional residue, the sensory clutter, the conversation still echoing in your head. It can happen in the kitchen while the light hums overhead, or in the shower, or sitting on the edge of the bed staring at nothing. You faintly stop performing normal, and that is when your real level of exhaustion becomes visible to you. Sometimes it feels unfair. How can one ordinary afternoon leave you feeling like your inner battery was scraped raw? But deep burnout rarely comes from one dramatic event. It usually comes from accumulated microload. Too many inputs, too many adjustments, too many emotional calculations, too little true recovery. Recovery is the part people underestimate, because for sensitive, observant people, rest is not just sleep. Sleep helps the body, but deep feeling also needs uncluttered space. It needs time with no social demand, no emotional decoding, no bright noise, no tiny pressure to be readable and available. That is why you can sleep 8 hours and still wake up tired. Your body rested, but your system never fully came down. Maybe you went to bed exhausted, but your mind kept sorting through faces, moods, unfinished thoughts, and vague emotional static. You close your eyes, but the day is still moving. Not outside anymore, just under your skin. That late-night replay is not random. It is your mind trying to complete what felt emotionally unfinished. A joke that landed strangely. A pause that felt loaded. A message that sounded colder than usual. Other people dismiss these moments quickly. You keep turning them in your hands like small glass objects. Not because you enjoy overthinking, because your awareness does not switch off just because the clock says it should. Sometimes you are tired before the day even starts. Not because morning is hard, but because yesterday never fully ended inside you. That is the quiet cruelty of slow recovery. Your system is still clearing old noise while new noise is already arriving. So you wake up with a full mind and call it fatigue, but often it is backlog. You can love the friend, like the dinner, appreciate the invitation, and still need 2 days to feel fully like yourself again. Because the problem is not always the people. It is the amount of processing your system does while being with them. You are listening to words and to what sits behind the words. You are tracking comfort, tension, reciprocity, safety, timing, and emotional weather. Even when you are laughing, even when you seem relaxed. That is why the exhaustion often arrives late. You do not feel it clearly in the moment because your attention is busy managing the moment. The bill comes after. On the drive home, in the quiet hallway, under the lamp beside your bed. Suddenly your brain feels bright and tired at the same time. Your body wants stillness, but your thoughts keep moving. This confuses a lot of deep feelers. They think rest should feel instantly peaceful. But when your system has been overengaged, quiet can feel loud at first, because now you can hear everything that got postponed. This is why alone time is not selfish for you. It is maintenance. It is where your mind separates what is yours from what never was. It is where your breathing starts to belong to you again. And yet many deep feelers feel guilty for needing that space. They worry they are distant, moody, difficult, or too much work. But needing recovery is not the same as rejecting people. It just means your system pays a higher price for contact. Some people can brush off a tense interaction in 10 minutes. You may still feel it in your chest that night. Some people leave a crowded room and move on. You leave with the room still flickering inside you. This does not make you broken, but it does mean you have to stop measuring your energy by other people's standards. If you keep doing that, you will keep abandoning yourself. You will call your overload laziness and your depletion a personality flaw. And that becomes another layer of exhaustion, not just being tired, but feeling wrong for being tired. Deep feelers often become very skilled at hiding this. They say, "I'm fine," when what they mean is, "I'm still processing." They look steady because they have learned how to stay functional. But functionality is not the same thing as ease. You can be competent and overwhelmed, pleasant and overstimulated, responsible and deeply maxed out. You keep going because you technically can. Then one day even small things start to feel strangely heavy. A simple errand feels impossible. A text feels like one more thing touching your mind. Music feels too sharp. Conversation feels expensive. And even kind people begin to feel loud. That is not you becoming cold. That is your system asking for less input before it shuts the door on everything. And here's the part people rarely say clearly. Sensitivity is not only about emotion. It is about throughput, how much your mind is taking in, linking together, and carrying forward. The deeper you process, the faster you can drain, especially in a world that rewards constant contact and endless responsiveness. You are expected to answer quickly, adjust quickly, recover quickly, and keep participating. But your inner world does not run on that speed. It needs time to metabolize experience. And when it does not get that time, exhaustion starts becoming your baseline. That baseline can get so familiar, you stop questioning it. You just think, this is who I am now, always a little drained. But constant depletion is not your personality. It is often the cost of unrecognized overprocessing. The cost of always being available to more than what is spoken. The cost of sensing atmospheres, not just events. The cost of carrying emotional residue with a face that still looks composed. That kind of tiredness is easy to minimize and hard to explain. It can make you feel older than your actual age, like your mind has been awake for years without enough true silence. And still, this depth is not something to romanticize, because awareness without boundaries can turn into daily self-erasure. Being perceptive is valuable. Living permanently overloaded is not. There is a difference between having a rich inner life and being trapped inside constant inner activity. That difference matters. Because maturity is not learning to endure unlimited stimulation. It is learning to notice when your system has had enough. It is learning that just because you can keep reading the room does not mean you should. Just because you can carry people does not mean you must. It is learning that exhaustion is information. Not a personal failure, not a moral weakness, not evidence that you are less capable. Sometimes it is evidence that you stayed open too long, that you kept the emotional doors unlocked because that felt kinder than closing them. But an always open system pays for everything. Every mood, every edge in someone's voice, every unresolved glance. No wonder you were tired. You had been living as if all of it needed to pass through you. The deeper truth is softer than that. Not everything you notice is yours to hold. Not every shift in energy requires your interpretation. Not every silence needs your internal investigation. Some of your peace will return the moment you stop volunteering for invisible labor. The labor of decoding, absorbing, softening, anticipating, containing. That does not make you less caring. It makes your care more honest. Because when deep feelers are chronically depleted, even their kindness starts to fray. Not outwardly at first, but inwardly. You become less present with yourself, less able to feel simple things, less able to enjoy what is gentle. Life starts feeling like recovery between demands, and that is usually the sign that something inside has been overused for too long. So if you burn out faster than people expect, believe the signal. Do not wait until your sensitivity has to become numb just to survive. You do not need to prove your depth by staying overwhelmed. You do not need to earn rest by reaching total collapse. Some people were never meant to live well on constant input. They need spaciousness the way lungs need air. Maybe that is why your best moments feel so simple. A quiet room, dim light, no pressure, no one pulling on your attention. In those moments, you are not doing less. You are finally carrying less. And maybe that is the shift to remember. Your exhaustion is not always a sign that life is too hard. Sometimes it is a sign that your awareness has been working overtime in places no one can see. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one most in need of quiet. So if you have been wondering why you feel worn down by things that barely seem to touch other people, this may be why. Your system is deeper, slower, and more porous than it looks. You do not break because you feel deeply. You break when your depth is forced to function without enough room to recover. And once you understand that, your tiredness stops looking like a mystery. It starts looking like a message. A message from the part of you that has been alert for too long. The part that kept absorbing, kept adapting, kept staying soft in hard environments. Maybe what you need is not to become less sensitive. Maybe you need to stop treating your sensitivity like it costs nothing. Because deep feelers do not burn out because they care too much. They burn out because they keep carrying too much while pretending they are fine. And the moment you finally tell the truth about that fatigue, something changes. You stop asking why you were so tired and start asking what has been asking so much of your soul.